In this video, we will look at the following problem. We drop a ball from high up 3 meters off the ground onto the floor. The question is, how long does it take, and what speed is the ball going when it hits the ground? In order to do this problem, we need to first think about the idea that we will be using. In this case, the idea is going to be free fall, which is the same as 1D constant acceleration. Now that we know the concept that we're going to use, we write down the physical equations that correspond to that concept. So the equations for 1D constant acceleration are position-wise, the position at some time t is equal to initial position plus initial velocity times t plus 1/2 the acceleration times t squared, and velocity at some time t is equal to the initial velocity plus the acceleration times that time t. The other thing, since this is free fall, we know that the acceleration is going to be minus g. In this case, minus because we're going to define positive in the upward direction. This is a typical thing to do. Now let's think about our problem. Our initial position is 3 meters off the ground. So we're going to say that the initial position is 3 meters. We release the ball, we drop the ball. So when we let go of the ball, its velocity is 0 meters per second. Furthermore, we know that the final position, so x at t final, is going to be when it's on the ground. So this is 0 meters. With this, we can solve the problem. For the first question of how long does it take, we can actually use the first equation here because we have the initial and final positions. To do that, we just plug values in. We're going to get 0 is equal to initial position x naught. The v naught is 0, so I'm going to ignore that, minus 1/2 g times t squared. Notice that I didn't actually plug in numbers at this point. All I did was replace values that are going to be 0 with 0, and replace constants with other identifiable constants, such as this right here. I replaced the acceleration with minus g. Solve for t. We get that t is going to be equal to 2x naught divided by g. And that's going to be t squared. You're going to take the square root, and that's going to be t. We actually plug in values for this, so t is going to be the square root of 2 times 3 meters divided by 9.8 meters per second squared. Whenever you plug this into your calculator, you get that t is 0.78 seconds. To answer the second question, we can now use the second equation. All we have to do here is we want to find v when it hits the ground, so v at 0.78 seconds. For that, we just have to plug in the values. So v final is going to be v initial, which was 0, minus g times the time. All we have to do is plug in the values that we got earlier, so v final is equal to negative 7.64 meters per second. The negative means that it's moving down, which is the right solution.